How to pray. Not what you say, but how you stand before God. When people ask, how do I pray? They usually want a method, like they want words, structure, something they can repeat so they feel like they are doing it right. But the problem is not that you don't know what to say. The problem is that you don't understand what prayer is. Because prayer is not performance. It is alignment and it is talking to God directly. Oh, my cat is so cute. I love cats, guys. Most of us approach prayer like a task, but or phrases that we need to repeat. Um, or maybe I used to count how many minutes I would spend on prayer, but it's not about that. And if this is the way that you are measuring how well you pray, then you will most likely fall short to that standard. But that doesn't mean that you're bad at prayer. It just means that you are approaching it incorrectly. So hopefully with this video we will learn how to approach prayer correctly. First of all, you will not impress God with your prayer. If you think that prayer is about performing for God or just saying beautiful things that sound amazing and awesome, you will never impress Him because it is not about length or how poetic you are or how beautiful your words sound. It is not about sounding spiritual or like making you feel like you're closer to God. Jesus Christ explicitly says, do not hit up empty phrases like people who think they will be heard because of many words. So, more words, a lengthy prayer does not mean a better prayer. So, that's to begin with. Now, we need to understand this clearly. By the way, guys, I literally started the video and my cats left. That's so sad. I feel so bad for them. I think they were just resting and then I came here and started talking. Anyhow, let's get back to the topic. Prayer is basically you placing yourself before God as He is and as you are. Now, what does that mean? It means that you recognize His authority, that you bring your reality, and you align yourself with truth. Now, to me, a Christian life is all about alignment. Like it's all about how you do it. Like it's not about the outwardly things that we do, but it's about aligning ourselves with Christ, aligning ourselves with the way He walked, and aligning our hearts. Now, you guys know that I love learning Greek words, and the Greek word often associated with prayer is a very complicated one that if I was to write it in Greek, it actually looks quite beautiful, and it is pronounced in English as proseuchomai. I'm assuming. Now, please do not judge me because English is not my first language, but proseuchomai or proseuchomai. Now, it carries the idea of basically directing yourself toward God, not just speaking, but orienting yourself. So, your mind, your will, your attention, your actions, thoughts, everything. And if your words are present, but your attention is not, then you're actually not praying. So, it's not about saying nice things, but actually having that connection with God. And this is where many of us struggle, and where I struggle as well, because my body is there, but sometimes my mind is not. And I don't know why, but I realized that like I was praying and somehow I just started remembering something nice. Like you see how easy it is um to get distracted. So prayer requires both body and mind. And I want to be practical because if we aren't practical, then there's no point in this video. First, we need to remove distractions. Now, that sounds kind of easy, right? Like, I mean, if your phone is near you, of course, your mind is divided. So take your phone away, hide it so you can't see it, out of sight, out of mind. If your environment is noisy, then your attention is going to be scattered or split. So so it is okay to pray in places that are loud, but when you have your quiet time, make sure it's actually quiet so you can fully focus. Now, how can you? That's easy because that's outwardly, but how can you stay undistracted when the distractions come from inside you, like no matter what's happening out there. So this is where we need to pray. We need to pray for God to allow us to focus, for Him to give us the capacity, the ability to focus. And then we also need to train ourselves, because you cannot expect to be perfect or very good at something from like out of nowhere. You need to train yourself to be comfortable with quietness and with talking to God. And you cannot pray deeply while remaining mentally fragmented. So, this is why it's so important. So, you need to sit or kneel down and you become still. You force your attention to settle. And when I say force yourself, I mean train yourself. Not because it feels natural, because it won't if you're not used to it, but because discipline is required. Our Christian life is about discipline. And this is like focusing your vision. If your eyes constantly shift, you never see clearly. So attention must be fixed. You can even close your eyes if that helps you. Second, you need to start with truth and not with requests. So, most of us maybe begin prayer with what we want, and that is kind of backward because prayer is not supposed to be about us, it's supposed to be about God. So, you need to begin with who God is. So I thought that I would actually share how I pray, and that maybe would help you guys. And if you have a better way, please leave it in the comments. So I start by acknowledging who He is. So I acknowledge His authority. When I pray, I acknowledge God's position, God's reality, God's authority over my life. And that's how I begin my prayer, because until I recognize who He is, then I will just pray from myself, not towards Him. And prayer is about a relationship, it's not just all about me. So you can say something like, Our Heavenly Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. And that's no requests, that's recognition. Um, Third, something else that I do is that I want to be direct. I feel like, okay, so let me tell you this. I was born and raised in Peru, and then I went to the States for uni for a couple of years, and then I came here to Australia. And I left Peru when I was 16. And then I was in the States when I was like from 16 to 20 or so. Yeah, and then I came here. So there was this huge mix of cultures and ways of communicating, and like how people interact is always different. So I feel like my life has been constantly changing. And in my late teens, when I was still developing, I was in the in the context of the culture of American South Christian people, and it was very different to what I was used to. Like the way Peruvian people communicate is definitely not the same as how Southern Americans from, just Christian Americans from the South communicate or talk to each other. Most of the girls would always be like, oh, that's so awesome. Oh, great. And I just didn't understand why they would act this way because I wasn't used to it. I even thought it was fake, but it's not. Now, I am sharing this with you because even coming to Australia was another shock as well. And it's just, there are so many different ways in which people communicate that it can be confusing. But in any relationship, you need to make sure that it's not all about you. So even though you're not fully certain of what is happening, because we will, like when you interact with people from other cultures, it is the same in the sense that you will not fully understand how to so many aspects of God, but we know to still not make it all about ourselves. So even though you don't fully understand everything, just remember it is an actual relationship with an actual person. So when you pray, when you talk to Him, be nice, be respectful, be more than nice because He's the God of the universe, and show Him how much you love Him for everything He's done for you. And again, even though you don't fully understand it, show how much you love Him with your words. Acknowledge who He is. And more than anything, stop trying to be something that you're not. When I went to the States, I remember just trying to adapt. Because I was trying to adapt, I would do and say things in a way that wasn't me. Because I was trying to sound like them. God doesn't want you to do that with Him. All right? He knows your heart. So stop trying to sound spiritual. Just like I was trying to sound Christian Southern American. It just doesn't work. So stop trying to sound spiritual. He doesn't expect you to perform for Him. And stop filtering everything. Stop performing, that's not going to work. You need to speak clearly, you need to be direct, you need to be honest, and you need to speak specifically. um what I was telling you before about cultures, in Peru, I would say that people can be quite direct. Definitely, people are not direct. When I was in uni, they were not direct at all. And here in Australia, there's such mix of cultures that I'm not even sure. Like, it just depends on the family dynamics, and then on there's subcultures within cultures. So it's just so hard to generalize here in Australia specifically because there's such a mix. So even if you are used to communicating indirectly and not directly, then you don't need to do that with God. You can be honest with Him. And if you're distracted, you can tell Him. I mean, He will know anyway, but He wants you to tell Him. Just say, God, I'm so distracted. Help me out. If you're struggling, say it. This morning, I was about to read Hebrews 4, and I was so distracted because for the past 2 days, I've been reading Hebrews 3. So I try to read a chapter a day. And guys, I have been so distracted because I try to read. I realized that trying to read as soon as I wake up doesn't work because I'm still a little bit zombie. So I'm not really understanding what's in the Bible. So I try to wash my face, get ready. That's what I would usually do and then read the Bible. But I think that's not enough. So now I'm trying to at least eat something or yeah, because otherwise I'm thinking about food. So I eat something and then I read my Bible or, yeah, I just try to be fully awake and fully present. And I was telling God this morning, please help me focus because I can't. I've been reading the same chapter for the last 2 days because I didn't feel like I understood, or maybe 3 days. And I was like, please help me understand Hebrews 4, help me focus. And I did. And I actually ended up reading Hebrews 4 and 5. And that was great. Not because it's like about how much you read, but because I spent more time with God. And it was time that we were both fully present there, and it was great. So you can be honest with Him, you can tell Him. He won't judge you. He will actually appreciate your honesty and that you tell Him. And if you don't want to pray, just tell Him. Say, Lord, I'm not used to praying, or Lord, I don't want to pray today, I'm sad, I'd rather just cry. And He will listen to you. He will be there with you. He feels your pain. I can't remember this exactly where, but I think it's Psalm 137 or Psalm 37 that He says that He feels your pain like a father relates to the pain of their son. Sorry, I can't remember exactly the verse, but the point of it is that truth, you being honest with God matters more than your tone. John Owen, whom I usually talk about, he emphasized that prayer must be real before it is refined. Because if it's not real, it does not matter how structured it is. And my fourth tip is that you need to align your will, because this is where prayer becomes either performative or difficult. And if it's not difficult, then maybe it's performative, because you bring your plans, you bring your desires, your expectations, your wants, your needs, your thoughts, all that you need from God. And when you pray, you are confronting those. You're not informing God because He already knows, but you are submitting to Him. So you need to submit all of those to Him. Basically, that means that you need to adjust. He doesn't need to adjust to you, but you need to adjust those desires, thoughts, likes, dislikes to Him. And most of the hardest part is that here is where we resist, because we want God to agree with us, right? I mean, we may not say it consciously or think about it, but real prayer says, not my will, but yours be done. And that requires surrender. And that's hard because we like it our way. And that's why my fifth tip is that you need to be consistent. Not emotional, not occasional, not only when you are energized, but consistent. Consistency, diligence, and alignment are so important in our daily Christian walk. Whether we feel like it or not, whether it is meaningful or whether we feel like it is meaningful or not, because consistency builds depth and not intensity, because this is like training. You don't wait until it feels powerful. You just show up consistently. And over time, strength develops and you become stronger. And you may not feel stronger because The change is small, but you are still stronger. So it's about just showing up again and again and again. So we don't really struggle to pray because it's complicated, but most of us struggle to pray because we just don't prioritize it. We say that we don't have time, we say that we're too busy, that there are better things to do, but we have time for everything else. I mean, is that your case? If it is, again, the issue is not knowledge, because maybe you know more than enough. Maybe it is value. And maybe when you watch my videos, you already know way more than I do. So I hope that this is an encouragement, if you already knew, an encouragement to know that you're not alone in this walk and you're not supposed to walk alone. We are here to encourage each other as Christians. And even if you know more than I do, which I'm sure some of you do, I am thankful for the opportunity of encouraging you and you guys encouraging me with your comments and just your loving messages. It's great. Um, so what I was saying is that we make time for what we value. And with so much love, I want to tell you, brothers and sisters in Christ, prayer is not about getting something from God. He could give us the world if he wanted to. It is about being aligned with him. Discipline, alignment, and consistency. It is where your thoughts are corrected when you pray. So your priorities are reordered, your distractions are exposed. And that is why many of us sometimes avoid prayer, because we don't want to be aligned, because we're scared of facing who we are, because prayer forces us to be still and stillness reveals who we are. And the question is not, do I know how to pray? I think that the better question that we should be asking ourselves, because you know how to pray, should be, will I actually sit before God consistently and align myself with Him? Will I be disciplined, consistent, and will I sustain this alignment in my life? Because only those who do that grow. And only those who grow, who show fruits of the Spirit, become steady. And we want to be steady Christians. Steadiness is one of the most important things, is part of alignment. And maybe that's what we are missing in our lives. So we don't need to overcomplicate prayer. We need to stop performing, stop delaying, stop wanting it to be perfect, and just sit and focus, speak truthfully, be direct, honest, and submit. And then repeat. No matter how we feel, repeat over and over and over again. And over time, what feels difficult now will become natural. Think of it as a detoxing process when it feels so uncomfy, but later on it will feel good and you will feel peace. And yes, you need to do this daily. I'm not I just can't, I'm not sure how to say it in words, but this changes everything. Like, prayer will change your life.